Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Convo. On today's episode, we'll be reviewing the fourth issue of Max Landis, American Alien. He's in it. So Vic, issue 4. We're up to issue 4 of Max Landis, American Alien. Again, I really liked this issue. I thought it was really good. And always when we start, we have to give a shout out to the new artist, because every issue has a different artist. So this one had Jay Lee, who was the illustrator, Jun Chung, and of course Ryan Sook, who did the cover art, and the colorist, who was the colorist also for this issue. Another big issue involving some new characters that build around the world of Superman and Clark Kent. It starts off with Clark in Metropolis. We definitely get that big city feel. He starts off with him and his car gets stolen, the red truck from Smallville, which I thought was pretty funny. But what'd you think about the art? Going back to the art, what'd you think? It was different. It was definitely different.
The take on Lois Lane, I thought that really took me by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
She had more like an Asian look to her.
Yeah.
She had a very Asian look.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she's half Asian, half Caucasian. I don't know. But she had that because I'm going by the cropped hair. You know what I'm saying?
The way she looked, her features.
Her skin tone too. So I thought that was I thought that was interesting. Their take on her.
Mm-hmm.
It was
and the fact that he thought that she was a man, he was he thought it was Lois Lane.
Yeah. Lois Lane.
And it's interesting that she's a student as well, right? It wasn't like she was older than him, like they usually have. That she's older, like she's been in there, and he's
kind of makes sense because mind you, they're starting this character off.
Yeah.
So everything's just from the beginning, even because he likes to kind of establish everything from the beginning, childhood,
mm-hmm.
His adolescent years, his young adult years, and now this is still his young adult years, but this is
the tail end of college.
Yeah, this is him coming off of college, him learning his journalism skills, her too.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same age. It will make sense if he's starting out, she has to be starting out. So it would it would make sense and stuff that we would see this.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like that they're both the same age. I always felt like when she was older, it was I get it. She's trying to help the kid out from Smallville, but I feel like this is even better because they relate. It's you're a student, I'm a student, we're both starting out. They kind of get
it. Also makes more sense for the competitive drive because all reality and the other issues they showed in the future. She was already a surprise journalist.
Yeah.
He was the new guy coming up, yet he was competition.
Yeah. I never got that.
He wouldn't really be competition for someone who's established as a journalist.
Yeah.
She's gonna get the top story. She didn't get the scoops. They're gonna want interviews from her. But both of them being students, it would make sense. I mean, you see her competitive drive from the very beginning. I'm gonna get the story, I'm gonna get the scoop and stuff, and he's it pushes him to be better too.
And speaking of establishing, now they're establishing that we're in this part of this decade where Oliver Queen, Lex Luthor,
they're all establishing too,
and Bruce Wayne are the new hot guys. They're the guys that they're control of their empire. They're trying to make new things, and part of the story is are these guys too young? Can they handle being businessmen? And it plays so well to Clark's first scoop. He's talking to these young business guys, and figuring out what they're all about. What did you think about them mentioning Oliver? Because obviously Oliver Queen remembers him as Bruce from the boat, and then Clark tells him the truth. He's like, "Hey, look, I'm not Bruce. I kind of just went along with it, and I'm sorry." And Oliver was like, "No, it's cool." And he's like, "Hey, can I interview you? I mean," and he said, "Yeah, sure." So, what did you think about even Clark realized the change that Oliver had? So what did you think about them including that event in Oliver's life?
I mean, he went from just trying to get laid, him trying to just have a good time, drink, party, drugs, live that lifestyle, and put on these extravagant parties for guests who are not even gonna show up. You know what I'm saying? Him just not really giving a shit. So now him
money.
I want to show the world I'm different. I want to use my money for a purpose. I figure that time I spent on the island, there was like, there was something more to me than meets the eye. I want to show the world this too. People think I'm just gonna kind of blow through my daddy's billions. That's not gonna happen. I'm gonna show people what I'm about and stuff. And you could tell that from Clark, he was very impressed by this guy.
Oh yeah.
He was like, oh shit, like he changed a lot and stuff. And
he's like less douchey,
Yeah.
which is what he said in the comic.
yeah,
It's like, you seem a little less douchey.
yeah. So he went from that, because I remember when he was saying like, oh, I'm not Bruce Wayne. When he told him in the past,
Yeah.
he was like, wow, that's deep, And now when he says I'm not Bruce Wayne, he's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, all right. So it's like he's that character's matured.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing like right now we're seeing him as the businessman. Maybe down the road we might see him as like the swashbuckling, seeing superhero type.
Well, this is definitely the beginning of that. Like, this is the part where he goes to the island, he starts training, he starts learning things about himself, and he even said it. He's like, ever since that island, I just looked at the reflection in the mirror, in the water, and it's just like, I've been so spoiled and so like wasting away what I have, and now I want to make a difference. And he kind of instills that even in Clark. He's saying, is like, look, we have to make the difference. Like, we have to be the people to make the difference. So yeah, I mean, I thought that conversation was cool, but then we get to the other conversation where you first meet Lex Luthor. And this Lex Luthor just fits right into the Lex Luthor that I like, which he's arrogant, he's very sure of himself, he doesn't need to be loud, he doesn't need to raise his voice, he's just very like, this is who I am, I know I'm smarter than everybody, and I don't give a crap about what other people think.
Yeah, he doesn't care if he's liked, he doesn't care if he's not liked, he doesn't care what really people think. I mean, and even his suppressions of everybody else, it's, well, obviously it's not accurate,
yeah.
But for his perception, like he said, Oliver Queen, he's just gonna blow through his daddy's money. He's just gonna go ahead and just like, he's gonna waste that entire fortune on like booze, saying the alcohol, the women, the parties, the drugs. And Bruce, he's gonna end up dead in some a sex hotel, saying underneath like a prostitute and stuff, So it's like, like this is his impressions of them now. If he only knew, you know what I'm saying?
If he knew who
like
they really
if he only
were.
knew. And it's interesting, and not just that, it's also I like the world's image of everybody, like they had that interview and stuff saying like these guys, like they're gonna be in charge of our financial future of like the saying the nation, and like our the economy's resting on these three guys, billionaires, making it happen, progressing the country further. So it's interesting and stuff like to see this, but also liked his speech. Like he was like, oh, so you want to so you're not really a reporter, you're just a student. Well, let me give you a scoop, and he kind of like laid it out there for him, and it was like very intense, very deep, very like, okay, this is like your first interaction with me, dude.
Let me show you who I am.
Yeah, and with him, it's always like he's gonna make an impression. First of all, he doesn't know he's ever gonna see this guy again. He doesn't know he's Superman. He doesn't know that in the future they're gonna have more run-ins together as Clark Kent. He thinks that maybe it's just gonna be a failed student. Who knows? So we don't know. He thinks this is your one chance at me. So let me let you know who I am right off the back. And he tells it to him straight up, just how it is. And that's the thing I've always liked about his character. He's that I mean, he's a villain, but he's a villain with layers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's a villain with layers. Like he has said, like, saying he kind of wants to do good. Like he wants to actually do something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
wants to be about something.
His mentality from the issue, what I got is that he knows better than everybody. And he worked his way. He's not like Oliver Queen. He's not like Bruce. He's like, look, I didn't need my parents to get killed. I didn't need to just be born into a throne like Oliver Queen did. He's like, I fought for everything that I did. And it's just because of me doing that, I know that I am the best. And nobody can be better than me. And so he always has this, he even tells them that he's like, everybody thinks that they have an S on their chest, which I thought was funny. He's like, well, everybody thinks that they're special and everybody thinks that they can do stuff in the world. He's like, no. I know that I'm one of the few that can actually make a difference in the world and that I'm the smartest guy in the room. So it plays to that arrogance of, you're right, he's not really a bad guy in that sense. It's just he's too arrogant where he's like, I can get away with anything, I can do anything because I'm smarter than everybody.
I like the metaphors that Landis does and all that. Like, for instance, the S in the chest reference. I like that a lot, Of course, Should be interesting the next run in he has now with Superman when he sees that S on the chest and stuff like that would be very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Then he'd be like, well, no, you're like, well, now you
Now
are
I got an S on my
special,
chest.
like you really are special, I guess. But I'm not gonna let you know that. But I love that character. I love that whole interaction. The other interaction I like actually the most of all of them was a surprise character, which was Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson.
The
ward of Bruce Wayne
before he's Robin and stuff. And I like how he's analyzing Clark from the beginning. Like he's just sizing him up. Like he's like, this is how tall you are. This is how much you weigh. But you walk around. You know what I'm saying? Like you're actually bigger than what you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something different about you. You got car keys in your pocket, but it doesn't look like you drove. How did you get here? Like he's really like depicting this guy. Like he's taking him apart and he's doing this in front of him. And then it's funny, like Superman, Clark does it the way he does it. Like he's kind of cheats. Like he lets you're Dick Grayson. How did you know? Oh, your name tag's sticking out of your shirt and stuff. And he's like,
you cheated. No, there's no way.
No, there's no way. It's actually, you can't see that. And he's like, yeah, I did. Like, how do you know? And stuff. And he's like seeing these things and stuff. And it's funny because he's using X-ray vision. And he's like, you're cheating, dude. You know what I'm saying?
He's like, I don't know how, but you're cheating somehow.
Yeah, and it's like he's getting the kiddo confused. And you see him like he's like, I need to brush up on my detective skills. I want to go out with this guy. I want to like be his not just his ward. I want to be his sidekick.
Yeah. I like that he was like talking about Bruce Wayne and he's painting a picture of what, like it's hard to tell if like he knows that he's Batman and he knows what he does.
No, he knows, right?
He
knows. Like he was saying that, like like he's using detective skills because he wants to go out with Batman.
Oh, right, yeah.
But it's interesting how he's like. He's painting of Bruce Wayne is the picture that Bruce wants the world to see him.
Exactly.
And he's helping him like the world to see this.
Exactly.
Oh, Bruce is this, Bruce is that. But he knows he's not this. He knows he's not like this big kid and stuff. If anything, walking around the house, he's too much of a jury adult. You know what I'm saying? Like he wouldn't
very
be fun.
stern.
He's the opposite of fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, the dude's training him in martial arts. He's training his detective skills. I mean, he's grooming him to be the next Batman. Essentially. And it's interesting how he's doing all this, and it's funny when he says, "Oh, you're an interesting character." He said, "Well, Gotham is filled with interesting characters." He was like, "Yeah, Cobblepot and stuff," and he started
Falcone and the Batman.
He's like the Batman. He's like, "Oh, the Batman," right? Even he gets the kid going on Batman, you know. And it's just real hilarious, that whole interaction between the two of them.
The best part of that was when he was saying that I don't think Batman's works 100%. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, he's all based on fear. He's like, yeah, that might work with dogs, but you can't always use that with people in order for them to change. You need to
has a negative effect, he was saying. Yeah.
And it needs a counterbalance.
Yeah.
And you brought up a good point because at first I was like, wait, is he talking about like somebody else? But then you said that the reason why he said that.
Yeah, this is his foundation, to become Robin. You know what I'm saying? This is his sales pitch to Bruce, and you could tell he's been thinking about this, and he's like trying to convince him every night, take me with you, teach me the ropes, and he's got this sales pitch and stuff, and he's telling him about this, and it's funny how Clark is not the detective type, but he hasn't pinged onto this
at all.
Like this kid's did some deep thought, like into Batman.
Yeah.
Even though he is an investigative journalist, but mind you, still his student years. You know what I'm saying?
Right, he's still learning. Yeah.
So I still like that. Like he's allowed to make some mistakes and stuff, and he's still trying to gauge the kid. Like, how's the kid even knowing this about me? So the kid's throwing him off, But I like that whole interaction and stuff, And then of course that builds up to the next interaction, which is his good buddy in the future, and which is funny because this is like really the first character you actually see in costume. Well, aside from Deathstroke. Deathstroke is actually the first.
He's the first,
Yeah, now Deathstroke is the first. But he's the second.
Yeah.
And
boy, does he make an appearance when he's trying to find out. He brings all of that up into question from the prior issues. He's like, how did you know, why were you on my boat? What do you want with Dick Grayson? Why, he's just like asking him all these questions.
Like, how did you beat Deathstroke and stuff, and whatnot? Why are you talking to my ward, you know what I'm saying?
And he just like blast him right through the laptop. But it's so funny for them, Clark to turn the tables around, grab him, and Batman's trying to do all these things to get rid of him, and he's just like, nope. And then he rips off the mask, and now he knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. He's like, I wonder what would be the top story, that I got Batman, or that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And so, and I thought that was great. I was like, oh man, that's good that he's adding that now, because
Yeah, it's interesting how he's doing that. And also, like, the fact, once going back to the competitive streak, is also the interaction with Lois, because what he does, he calls her up.
Oh, she calls him up. She left the she left the voicemail.
Yeah, she does that, and he lets her know, like, oh, you got this, and that. Well, guess what I got? You know what I'm saying?
We should team up.
Yeah, we should collaborate. You know, so I like that.
I thought that was the best way to do it.
I mean, all the interactions were like great, and like your first interactions of key, pivotal characters in this man's life. You got Lois. You got now Grayson, Luthor. You got Green Arrow, and now you got Batman. You know what I'm saying? It's all very interesting and stuff. Like how he's really
building that world.
Yeah, it really is. Like I'm looking for, like, more and more as time goes by, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with these with this character. Really.
Wait till you see the next. I snuck into the next issue. It's a doozy. It's crazy. But yeah, I love that Max is building this world and literally is taking what he has and incorporating everything. It's like he could have easily just focused on Superman and again created some random characters for him to interact with, but he's like, no, this is the world he lives in.